Once again, hello everyone. I am Roseto, and today we will talk about for loop. Uh, it is much like the while or do while loop. It will perform specific instruction or a certain code inside its block as long as the condition returns true until it becomes false. So the last time we have this while loop. Okay, so let me show you the sample code about while loop. Okay, so this is an example of a while loop code. Then in here we instructed the compiler or the computer to perform these two lines as long as this condition here is equal to true. But when this becomes false, it will exit. Okay, so that is what a do while or while loop. Now in for loop, we'll do something almost the same with a while loop, but ang nakalain niya is yung ano ni. Okay. So unlike the while loop, wala sa sulod ang iyang increment. So for example, if this in our while, okay, so let's say we will do something like this, right? Okay, so nga nagporma to ang while loop og for loop. Okay, so in here okay, so this is just an very common example for do while and or while loop and for loop. So anyway, napay mga laing variation sa pag porma sa code, but this is much commonly used. So the difference, if you can notice, on do while or in while, ang yung declaration is na dire, pati ang iyang declaration declare and initialize. So atong gi-declare ang variable a as integer, tapos ito siyang gihatagan og value nga 1. That's initialization. And on the other hand, sa imuhang for loop. Okay, so in for loop we have this declaration, and then we have this initialization. While on do while ato siyang giusa dinhi sa babaw. Right, so that's it. And then we have this condition. Okay, this here, then we have this increment, and then on for loop we have this increment. So as you can see, on while loop the parts are scattered. First declaration, pwede ilain ang imong initialization or idungan nimo sa imong declaration ang initialization, and then separate ang condition, and then separate ang iyahang increment. That's for the do while. Okay, as you can see, so 1 and 2, then this is the 3, this is the 4. While on for loop, so this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. But as you can see, in a single line ang imuhang initialization, condition, and increment. So mura na siya nakalahi, bali marag ang iyahang syntax, but the thought is, or the semantic is the same, still the same. If ang if else and switch case is to evaluate the value, compare two values to be specific, and while loop and for loop is to continue processing whatever the commands in the code block as long as the condition returns true. Right, atong condition is kanang a less than 5. As long as nga ang a less than 5 is true, iyang i-perform kung unsa man ang naa dinhi sa iyang sulod sa code block, just like sa imuhang while loop or do while loop. Right, so wala ra kayo kalahian, wala ra kayo dako nga diferensya. So dili ra kayo sa lisod sabton ang for loop o ang do while. Pag pangutanon ka unsay purpose sa for loop, it is almost the same or really the same with do while or while loop. It will perform a certain code, a certain command continuously as long as the condition returns true. So in this example, ang ato ang condition is kanang a less than 5. Now unsaon pagkahimong false ang condition, kanusa man mahimong false ang condition, we have this increment. Okay, so you can see kining sa while with a equals to a plus 1, and then in your for loop we have this a plus plus. So a plus plus or a equals to a plus 1 is the same. It will add one value to the current value. Like for example, the current value is 1, when it reads the a plus plus or the a equals to a plus 1, it will add 1 to the current value of a, which will result to 2. And then later on, may mo siyang 3, may mo siyang 4, may mo siyang 5. And then pag abot niya og 5, so 5 is not less than 5 or a not less than 5. So that will becomes, or that will returns false in your condition. So that's the time nga mo stop na dayon og perform ang imong loop, imong while loop or imong for loop. So to make it much clearer or understandable, ato siyang buhaton into code. Ako siyang ipakita instead of just having them written in this whiteboard of Microsoft Whiteboard. I am sure nga nakita ninyo ang iyang difference o ang iyang similarities. You have understood the syntax and semantic. So probably I'll show you that in the code. So but para mas klaro pa gyud, ato siyang buhatan og another example, another mas limpyo nga code sample. Or shall I use a++ na lang para mas dali nyo sabton? So a++ is not just for loop ha. So baka ano ninyo para na siya sa for loop. You can still use a++ in most code blocks. So mapa while pa man na siya, or if else, or switch case, pwede mo magamit og a++. It's automatically an equivalent of a equals to a plus 1, or a gets a plus 1. Okay? Then the for loop. Okay, so something like that. Oh, this is one. And then let's identify Okay, so this is an simple explanation or labeling the code. Okay, so that you have a better understanding on unsay naa diha ang code. Okay, so up, sorry. So wala na si Dre. So these are the most important parts you have to remember in a loop algorithm in while, do while, or for loop. So the declaration, initialization, condition, and incrementation. Incrementation will not always be about incrementing. So sometimes it becomes deducting one at a time, one value at a time. Like instead of a plus plus, we'll have a minus minus, may I say, if whatever the terms nga inyohang a mas prefer mo nga mo kan. But for me, I don't usually say a minus minus or a negative negative, because it's maraglain din sa paminawon, and usually it's always a plus plus. So do bihira or talagsara siya magamit ang pa-decrement, no, decrease ang number instead of increment. But there are certain cases nga mahitabo gid siya, na instead mag a plus plus ka, mag minus ka. Okay, so the semantic is both code blocks will do something in a term of for loops, because the condition is a less than 5, so it starts with 1 2 3 4, and then as if the value of a becomes 5, then that means dili na siya less than, equal na siya, so dili na din siya mo padayon. So let's try that. Ato siyang isulay og code. So again, we don't really need this import for this program, because pinaka-simple man siya. But I am making it a habit nga magbutang og import para maanad pud mo, og butang og header. Okay. So first I will do the while loop code before ko mo proceed sa do sa for loop. Again, if you can still remember, the difference between print and println is that print will continuously print the output in a single row until it uses the whole length of your monitor screen before siya manaog sa baba, while the println or print line will print the next or the preceding output to the next row of your monitor screen. Okay, let's have that. And then for the for loop, we will use the variable b. So this is the code for while loop and for loop. So ito siyang i-test kung same bang lang output. So with this code, it's supposed to display at least 4 do something about while, and it will also display at least 4 times the do something about 4. Okay. So I don't get an error, so maybe sakto nga akong gihimo nga code. So let's run the program by having java command, and then so as you can see, I have 4 do something about while, and I have 4 times the display of do something about 4. So pat ka do something about while o pat ka do something about 4. So that is the purpose of this two, the while loop and the for loop. No? Okay, so if you have read the if you have watched the previous video where I explain or talk about the do while loop, and then there is no need for me to explain more on for loop, but on the next video I will talk about the differences, or which is which. When I say which is which, asa ang mas preferable gamiton, asa mas nindot gamiton, or in according to the situation, asa may mas mayo gamiton. Okay, so there are certain scenarios nga instead of while you have to use for, or instead of for you are required to use while, or mas preferable nga while imong gamiton. So there are situation yun ana mohang matry if you are doing a computer programming. So that's common. So in the next video muna itong isgutan. For now, yung ano lang. And yes, this will not be complete if dili na siya i-try og dili na to siya i-try og what do you call this, nested for loop. So the previous video we've tried nested while loop. So sa for loop pwede po mo siya i-nested. So we have inner and outer loop. I will say that this is the outer loop will be about A, and the inner loop will be about B. So So in this case, just like the other example, the previous example, gusto na ko nga mo print og series of asterisk. Series of asterisk, okay? So if I do this, so if I do that, as you can see, I have 4. In my output, I have 4 asterisks. And then, so let me adjust the font size because I'm not sure kung maklaro ninyo. So with this code, with this for loop, nakaproduce kog upat ka asterisk. Now how about gusto ko nga napig asterisk sa ubos, bali mo upat ka column o upat ka row. Actually, we can do that by having a nested for loop. So this will now be B, and then let's return B to 1. Okay, and then let's create a breaker. Ano say, pag manyag print og upat ka asterisk, dapat natay isa ka print nga para naog wala siya sulod, blanco lang. So ito siya butang og print ln. Okay, so let's try this one kung mugana ba, and then there you are. So with my with this code, okay, with that nested for loop, nakabuhat tag output nga nani na upat ka asterisk, nanapoy upat ka asterisk, upat na pod ka asterisk, upat na pod ka asterisk. So kibali upat pa horizontal, upat pod pa vertical. Okay, so ang nagbuhat anang horizontal nga asterisk is kining for loop nga B ang gigamit. Muna sa inner. Dayon kanang imuhang asterisk nga pa vertical 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4 paubos, kining for loop nga naapod sa gawas ang perform. Kanang for loop nga A nga variable ang gigamit. Okay, so ato on line 13, kini kung makita ninyo, line 13, natay B plus 1, B equals to 1 or B gets 1. Yan po tayo B gets 1 din. So I think this is redundancy. Maybe we can remove this one. I don't know. Let's try that one if it's a redundancy. Okay, so that's it. It's really a redundancy because every time it performs for inner for is ginabalik naman niya og 1 ang B o variable B, ginabalik niya og value nga 1. So it's a logical error to ganiha. Si logical error is not totally makahatag sa epekto or epekto sa imuhang gigama nga program, but at a certain point useless o siya gamit. So like kanto redundancy, so siya gamit. There are also times nga kanang logical error is like computation na siguro nagbuhat kag program like a calculator, and then pag pili nimo og 1 plus 1 ang answer siya 3, so supposed to be that's 2, right? Pero since logical error, siguro mali mong formula, so yun na. So those are logical error. When you say syntax error, ang imuhang mag-error gyud ang imong code, nagi mali si imong code, mo tatak gyud siya, di gyud siya mo run, di gyud siya mo perform, dili mo ma-execute ang program. Okay, So that's it. That's for the for loop. It's very much the same. Nothing much of a change when it compares to the while loop or to while loop. It also can be used with nested for loop. So pwede siya. And then the next video ako ang i-discuss kung kano sa dapat gamiton sa for loop or si do while. Asay mas nindot gamiton lang duha kung namay mas nindot nila galing or wala. Yeah. So that's all for the for loop and the nested for loop. If you have questions or clarifications regarding on this simple example or explanation or discussion about for loop, so please comment down below in this video, and I will try to do my best to answer your queries, your inquiries, or maybe we can create, or I can create a follow-up video regarding on your inquiries. Okay, so thank you so much.